Good. Welcome back, everybody. We have one more session of talks now, and then we have the poster session and the dinner afterwards. So I'm happy to announce Aleksi Kallio, who's from the Supercomputing Center here in Finland, and he will tell us about AI factories.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, good. So, nice to meet you all. My name is Aleksi Kallio. I come from CSC, which is the Finnish IT Center for Science, so basically supercomputing center down by the road here. And my topic for today is AI factories, which is what I'm doing nowadays only at CSC. So what they are and what kind of meaning they have, and also kind of the connection to materials discovery, which is the topic today. Good. Yes. So first of all, what do we have in common? So I'm an AI guy. I don't have any materials technology background, but one thing we all have in common, and that's basically a bit of a weird echo going on here. So that's basically what has happened, well, not so recently, about 10 years ago with deep learning. So we are all a bit confused with this new technology. As you know, deep learning has quite a big impact on many things. So in your field, but also outside, so like language and so on. And this is now something that, okay, we are working with the audio a little bit. Okay. I'm not connected to audio, I think, or should not be, but you can of course mute me if that helps. We are kind of figuring out that. Okay, yeah. Is it better now? I think perhaps. Maybe my vocal range is somehow resonating with this building or something like that. So we are kind of figuring out that what is deep learning, what is machine learning, and AI, as we now call it, kind of what are the implications? So what is it good for and what is it not? And this is also the backdrop for AI factories. And AI factory is a word that has many meanings, and now I'm talking about the official European definition, which is basically kind of centers that combine computing with data and with skills, talent. There are also other meanings. For example, NVIDIA uses it to describe AI inference systems that they are selling, but this is now the AI factories for this discussion. And what's happening in Europe is that basically, like a couple of years ago, European Commission realized, okay, something needs to be done. Europe is lagging behind US in the kind of competition for AI models. It was basically when ChatGPT was introduced that everyone realized, okay, now this is the point to act. And important part of what is happening are the AI factories. So there is this AI innovation package. There are other measures as well, but AI factories are in a way the largest, at least if you look at the budgets. And there's now a bunch of them being set up. So in the first call, we had 7, including LUMI AI Factory, where I'm coming from. And now we have another group of 6 AI factories. And there will be one more call in June. And I guess there will be maybe 2, 3, something like that. More of this coming, and then that's it. So there will be 15 to 20 AI factories in total. And all of these have kind of the same idea. So they're combining compute data and talent, and always sit next to some supercomputer. And for LUMI AI Factory, so what are we doing? So of course we are doing what we are expected to do, so to have a comprehensive set of services for all kinds of AI, computing and data management needs. So the service infrastructure and so a wide range of users. So for AI factories, company use cases are sort of a priority, but it doesn't mean that AI factories would be only for companies, but we kind of foresee that actually academic research is the major user, because well, academic research is always the kind of, when you look at the numbers, you are the largest user group by far. But now kind of the guidance is to have more company involvement and especially build these bridges, so have like public-private partnerships, research, and then companies, and then maybe also public sector involved. So that's something that we are doing. And then, as mentioned, these systems always, or these AI factories are always sitting next to a supercomputer. And LUMI AI Factory is actually kind of having two. So we currently are operating the LUMI supercomputer. So that's where we start from. And then there will be a new system called LUMI AI coming later on. So the procurement is starting right now. And it will eventually replace the LUMI supercomputer. So kind of making sure that we have world-class capacity available now and also in future. And then together with the system will be a service center, which is operational already. And basically the idea is that we will have quite a wide range of services that I will show later. And that's also starting right now. So we are of course ramping up the activities, but we have the system, and now we are just building the service layer on top of that. And then finally, there is the kind of the optional element or experimental element, which is quantum computing platform. So here the idea is that, okay, now we have an AI system, we have services, we have talent connected to it. Then we will also have a quantum system next to it to kind of explore the combination of AI and quantum computing. So like both ways, using machine learning to help in quantum computing, and then also seeing that, okay, are there some machine learning problems that would be best solved by a quantum system? So that's a bit of a bonus here. And then finally, we have the service center. So a bunch of services on training, user support, and then on data access. So that's some new thing that will be introduced with AI Factory. So we put more focus on data and more effort on data. So not only providing lots of computing capacity and helping people to use it, but then also providing data and helping people to access it. And then also helping in sourcing data sets. So not only like just providing what we have, but working on sort of assignments that if there are needs for certain types of data sets that are not available, but could be made available with some help and some support and maybe some money even, then we are there to help. So we can do negotiations with data owners, we can even pay for data, and then of course we can solve the technical issues that are related to having large data sets available. And then finally, all the kind of talent development efforts we have are of course only like a small part of the whole. So we try to integrate with the ecosystem around it, for example, the Aalto University, where we are right now, and have our kind of training activities and all this kind of exchange programs and so on to be part of the bigger whole. Good. So LUMI AI Factory in practice is three things plus one, and the plus one being LUMI supercomputer, which already exists and kind of was there before the AI Factory. But then there will be a new supercomputer, LUMI AI, and then the service center, which already is here and ramping up, starting up, and then the quantum computing platform. And LUMI supercomputer is based in Finland, in Kajaani, and so will LUMI AI, and the quantum computer all be in the same data center. But the LUMI AI Factory itself is actually a consortium effort. So we have, in addition to Finland, we have Czechia, Denmark, Estonia, Norway, and Poland. So we are kind of truly European joint effort, investing in one hardware platform and then kind of network of people working on the user support and development of services. And also we have other Finnish partners, so Finnish Center for Artificial Intelligence, so through Aalto University and University of Helsinki are partners. And then we also have AI Finland, which is representing technology industries. And total budget is 600+ million euros. So being a very, very large investment in computing capacity, both in Finland and in Europe. So this is, LUMI AI Factory is largest of the AI factories at this moment. And it's not only computing capacity, but it's really about data and also about the talent. And importantly, having people there before the computers come. So have the services up and running when we have the new supercomputing environment. And this is how it's going to be built. So LUMI is there up and running, the LUMI supercomputer. We launched the AI Factory, so our service production 1 month ago in April. It was supposed to be 1st of April, which is the April Fool's Day, but unfortunately we had to postpone by 1 day because of the schedules of the minister. We lost a very nice opportunity for a joke. And then the LUMI AI, so a new supercomputer to first run side by side with LUMI and then replace it altogether. It's going to happen later on, as is going, the same goes also for the quantum computing platform, which is actually going to be installed in steps, so having larger and larger systems available. And the focus, well, AI Factory is of course going to serve all user groups, but there are also some focus areas which are especially geared toward industry users, because that was the kind of the focus we have. So manufacturing industries are one focus, health and life sciences another, and then communication technologies and networks a third one. But then we have a kind of overarching focus on simulation and AI, which is of course relevant for all of these areas, and then also like outside. And simulation and AI means that we really look into AI for science and digital twin type of cases where you are using machine learning and then simulation like side by side. And this leads us to topics like materials technology, so very familiar area for you, or material science. Then language and media, of course, important, and then climate and weather, obviously. But in this kind of, this also means that we are not like this is not an AI service center for basically only language, so doing language models and doing very AI optimized things, so solving the challenges that exist today. But we are also looking broadly into use cases that might come in future, and kind of don't optimize our system to whatever is relevant just today, but kind of look at the longer range, and also look on the scientific use cases, because that's where the new things are always coming. Then briefly about services. So what the AI Factory Service Center is actually going to do. And here the idea is that kind of we don't come into vacuum like a space where there's no AI altogether, but we realize that okay, everyone's doing this already. So we really have to think that where we can make a difference. and where we can provide services that really help to unlock something new. So kind of enable people to do something that they were not able to do before. And well, starting with the talent side. So if you remember, AI factories are data, compute, talent. On talent side, of course, training is important. Training users to actually use what we have. And here it's extremely important to realize that we are not the only ones doing training. We are not even the important ones doing training. We are a very minor player in this area. So co-creation with AI centers, meaning Finnish Center for Artificial Intelligence, the Ellis Institute that's going to be here, and all the kind of application fields. We try to formulate our training activities in a way that they are kind of modular, so that it's easy to provide only little pieces of them for some specific domain, so that we don't have our own kind of path that you have to go through, but we create training activities that are quite easy to combine with anything that you are doing already. So in that way, we hope that we would become at least a small part of many different programs, networks, doctoral schools, and so on. Then we are doing consultation with companies. So this is meaning that, of course, we have the normal user support, but especially to really boost company involvement, then we have to kind of go a bit farther. So we engage already early on, trying to figure out that, okay, what is actually the use case that the company is trying to solve, and then kind of formulate a proper AI project out of that. And the idea is that we could offer kind of time-limited interventions where we hopefully unlock something in the kind of RDI efforts of the company. And then finally, we also not only exist on virtual world, but we are going to have also some actual co-working spaces, quite likely close by here. So we are looking to Aalto campus to set up. The idea is to set up something next to the Ellis Institute, because we want to be where people already are. But right now it's a bit tricky with the spaces. So let's see where we end up. Somewhere within walking distance of this place anyhow. Then the next part is computing capacity. And here, of course, the idea is that we want to enable computational challenges that are not possible today. So have a really large capacity built here, of course. And it helps that we have the largest budget among the AI factories. So we hope to be able to build a really massive system. I have to say that this is not the best time to buy GPU hardware right now with all the geopolitical tensions and uncertainties. So there are some risks. Everything's still fine, but there are some risks. And let's see how well this goes. But of course, it's the same for all of us. So in that sense it's, well, I think it's good that at least we have put our efforts so that we can be in a good position when kind of bargaining for the remaining GPU units that are available on the market. And we are not only going to provide tons of AI training capacity, which of course we are doing, but that's not all. So yeah, storage is important there. And also it's important that the capacity is available dedicated when you need dedicated capacity, or then if you can survive with shared capacity like today's HPC systems, then of course you can use the shared capacity and it will be kind of cheaper in that sense. In addition to training, we serve inference use cases, so have a model serving platform, and also build services on top of that, so that people would quite easily be able to try out different AI models, like open AI models, have them available there, so that you don't have to have your own GPU cluster or have a huge laptop to run them, but it would be easy to run them in this environment. And then add the possibility to customize your environment, kind of build virtual clusters, have control over the software stack if you want to, and then API-based access, so that all of this can also done through APIs, also to help with integrating with public clouds. So we understand that we are not the only computing platform out there. People are using cloud platforms a lot, so it needs to be very friction-free to move between the platforms. And then finally, of course, the quantum capacity will be part of the HPC system, so you will see the quantum computers behind the same interfaces as the HPC and AI capacity. And all of this will be supported by our support team, and this is of course where we try to excel, so be better than, for example, cloud providers in that sense. We are not, of course, helping with technical problems and things like that, but then also go beyond that. So help with AI methods, help with kind of undefined problems, help in defining your questions basically. And then also not only rely on our support, but then make it so that it's also easy to go forward without our intervention. So have good self-service environment, documentation, and also some AI assistant technology there as well. And machine learning operations, so MLOps, is an important thing that we provide as an environment and then also support to our users. Yes. And final of the three service categories is data. So kind of the new thing here. Of course, CSC has been developing all kinds of data services for ages, but in this kind of Euro HPC European context, it's a bit of a new thing to have wide range of data services. So yeah, we start with the data environment so that you can work with your data easily, make your data available, share it, and so on. But then we also have a service, what we call dataset as a service. So basically have a team of people working on getting data available on the platform. And this, of course, here we are aiming to high value data, so not just getting all kinds of small, simple data set that you can just download anyhow. That is not an added value. But here we are interested in very large data sets that are hard to work because of their sheer size, and then also somehow sensitive or confidential data, which is not public, but it needs some kind of special environment for working with. And of course, medical data is one important case here. So making high-value data available, going through the extra effort, so doing the sneaker work you require to make data available. Then we are going to provide tools which you need to work with sensitive data, one of our priorities, and then also like streaming data, especially with the focus on kind of the communication technologies and for example 6G networks, which are big in Finland, obviously. So here it's important that our HPC system can be connected to sensor networks and so on, and also used to simulate those networks, like combine simulation with real deployed sensors. And finally, we are going to build also connections to data spaces, so kind of the European mechanism for sharing data, and then all important data repositories as well. And just like with computing, we have services, and then we have a support team helping you out. So also for data, we have a data support team helping in, well, sourcing, finding data sets, maybe negotiating access rules, implementing those access rules, implementing large data moves, like if you need to move some really huge data set, and then curating data as well, making sure that it's in good shape. And obviously we are also helping in the practical things like data wrangling, getting your data in good format, and data engineering, and then finally streaming data. So this is kind of the three main things: talent, compute, and data. And the system that kind of lives underneath it, I'm just speeding this up a little bit. So this is how the system is going to look like. The LUMI AI, the next supercomputer. And what's important, it's going to be big GPU partition, so that's the AI focused capacity, serving both training and inference needs, and not being limited to kind of AI type of GPU capacity. So it's going to be able to run simulation code as well effectively. We are also going to have some multi-core CPU capacity, because some simulation codes, for example, need that. And then way to provide user-specific partitions will have the quantum capacity also behind the same kind of, or within the same system. And then all the storage solutions, so object store as a long-term storage, and then different types of optimized fast systems to help you do computing on the data and data spaces. Now, coming to topic of today. So how everything I just described hopefully helps you in your research if you are working, at least if you are working within Europe, or especially within the LUMI consortium countries, then hopefully we will see you as a user someday. And also the international users are welcome. So starting from this kind of very basic process, maybe starting with specifying a research question. So what we have? Well, we have the support team, and usually support team is approach when something goes wrong, and that's also fine, and we are happy with that. But actually, we could help already in an earlier phase. So when you are kind of specifying the research question, well, first of all, if you are also applying for funding, that's actually something that we can help with. So making more credible funding applications and providing the kind of the technical estimations for your applications is something that we are going to help out if you need. And then also about the research question, of course, we are not teaching people to do research, because we are not experts on everything. We are experts only on our topics, but we can, of course, help in formulating the kind of technical problem that you are trying to solve. And then also training activities might be helpful in this place, especially if they are maybe tailored in your specific needs. Then moving on to collecting data. If you have all your data available, then fine. Then we have the technical solutions just to be used. But if there's something more challenging needed, like for example, if you want to work on a commercially licensed data set, which is not really available maybe on the environment, then we have a data support team to help you. Also, if collecting data actually means simulating, then we have the system available for you. So we have GPUs that are also good for simulating, like high precision computing, floating points, and then we also have the CPUs. So we have everything in one system, and quite likely you will find the capacity you need for your simulations in the same place and within the same storage systems, connected to the same storage systems. Then moving on to kind of formulating hypotheses. So in this case, probably training your ML models. Here's of course our kind of main bulk of our service is here. So having lots of capacity for that kind of use. And then finally, the experiment and test phase. Well, we have inference capacity, of course. Now I don't know, is it the right place to put it here, but I put it here anyhow. So our system can also be used for running those models that you have developed in a large scale, in hopefully a very easy way. And of course, I don't really know where quantum computing sits here in your space, but just as a reminder that quantum computing is also a tool in the toolbox that you can use. And also it will be supported in the same way we support the kind of the AI compute capacity and the data capacity. So we hope that we can support the whole cycle, have a bit different services for different phases. And also, of course, if you look into company collaboration or maybe even spin-off, then that's also very interesting from the AI Factory point of view. So we are very eager to help in that direction. Good. Then in the end comes the final question. Okay, sounds great, but how do I get it? Where to apply? So how these services are offered? Well, first of all, the context is that this is AI Factory is a service for research, development, and innovation. So not for production use, but that's, I guess, quite obvious. And for these purposes, the basic idea that all the services that I just described are free of charge for smaller companies, so startups and SMEs, and for all kinds of academic research, so for open science altogether in universities and in research institutes, and for public sector. So only for large companies, those services are free, fee-based, and otherwise free of charge. They do come with some requirements of openness, but I believe they are not a kind of limiting factor for this audience. Of course, for smaller companies who are interested, these requirements are fairly minor, so it's basically a requirement to openly report about your use, but you actually get to keep your AI models to yourself, for example. And as usual, the capacity is granted through access calls, so there will be different types of calls. For academic use, there's one set of calls. For company use cases, different set with different rules, and most of them require certain level of opening of results. And the calls have very fast processing, so the quickest ones have a 2-day processing time, which you can believe our user support people are super happy when they launch these calls with a short notice last week, so that we are expected to do technical evaluation of proposals in basically 1 day. It's not always so easy. But this is how it works. And I actually skipped this and go directly. Well, when you are interested to learn more, LUMI supercomputer.eu is the place to go. We are going to have our own web domain very soon, but not yet. We are still ramping up. It's going to be LUMI AI Factory.eu. But you can already, if you go here and navigate hard enough, you will find the AI Factory page under the LUMI supercomputer pages. Thank you. I don't know how much we have time, if we have time for questions, so I'm very happy to answer anything about AI Factories or LUMI AI Factory in specifically, or anything else that might come to your mind.
Thank you very much. You're perfectly in time, so we have time for questions. Yep. Yes, I can.
Thank you for the presentation. Quick question, because I've already read about these AI factories. So since they are Euro HPC, also people from outside Finland, European, can apply,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What about European, but then with collaborations of other countries that are not associated countries? Is there some establishments regarding that or not? Do you know?
Yeah. So it works so that for these large Euro HPC systems, it's basically owned 50% by Euro HPC, so kind of Europe, and then the other half by the member states, so Finland and all the other consortium partners. And so everyone, any Euro HPC country, so basically all European countries and Switzerland and UK can get capacity from the Euro HPC share. So yes, yes, you can get capacity through that path. And then if you have collaborators outside, that's fine, as long as the kind of the coordinating partner is from an eligible country.
Okay, thank you.
Are there other questions? Yes, Emma.
Thank you for that lovely talk. I had a question on your support for the data acquisition and wrangling, I think was your exact word for that. Especially when it comes to machine learning, so much of that work is actually in the data cleanup side of things. And so much of that data cleanup comes from, the expert knowledge of, what does this variable mean really? And I know that it would be impossible for you to provide support for every single case. So what's the process for that?
Yeah, that's true. So we don't have the domain understanding. So of course it limits quite a bit what we can do. But the idea is that, okay, we have the tools available that are kind of known to be good for this kind of things. We have the training that trains how to use these tools. And then we will also support in using the data wrangling tools, packages, and so on. And of course, we are also happy to discuss more domain-specific things. Of course, it's mostly dialogue. We cannot really go and clean your data sets for things that we don't understand. So that's a good point, that there's a limit to how much you can do as a sort of outsider.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's any other questions. Maybe I wanted to ask one. I wanted to ask about education. So you mentioned that this is not exactly what you do. Many other people do this. Of course, FCAI do it, we do it, and we educate domain specialists with machine learning knowledge as well that go into these companies, and we wish to promote in this way some kind of data science awareness in companies. But what we really struggle with is lack of continuous education. And that's not something also FCAI wants to consider doing either. And this is all about, trying to promote the transfer of knowledge to the industry and promote the use of AI in the industry. And a lot of the decision makers in the industry who can decide on these things and integrate this, they're not aware of how they can benefit from AI. They're not aware about systematic data collection, or that the fact that they could be collecting data, but they're not, or data management. And there's just a lot of gaps in education here that we really struggle to overcome. Is there something that you think LUMI AI Factory could do in this kind of field in between where we are really lacking courses?
It's a very good question. And I would say that it's sort of area where we operate. Of course, we cannot solve this problem, but we would be happy to collaborate with kind of organizations that are working on this. So, for example, organizers Aalto ES is one example, and then we also, what we already do is to find collaborations with kind of industry-specific like networks, for example, and try to make our courses and our content available there. So in that help we are supporting, and if there are great initiatives helping with continuous learning, then we would like to be part of that, and I think we could help out. Of course, we alone cannot be drivers for this, but we would really want to be part of the equation.
So I had one question about the hardware. So you said that LUMI AI is mostly GPUs, and it will eventually replace LUMI. But LUMI was sort of on the exascale roadmap, the pre-exascale machine, right? That, well, one would think would be scaled up to an exascale machine eventually. But does this mean you've decided now that it's going to be GPUs and CPUs will be reduced and phased out in the future? Or is the jury still out?
No, there's still CPUs also in the new system. I think that the ratio is pretty similar to LUMI.
Okay.
So
it looked different on the scale looked different on your slide. Okay.
Yeah, so I think the ratio is pretty much the same. Okay. So we will not completely get rid of CPUs, but of course, kind of the if you look at the raw capacity, then there will be very more fraction because the bang for buck is so much better in GPUs, and that's the priority anyhow.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your talk. Let's give a round of applause.